This is the most relaxing game of chess ever played between grandmasters. Pawn to e4 on the first move. This game is completely unique. There has never before or since been a game like this. Pawn to e5, knight f3, and knight c6. We are in 1968 in Palma de Mallorca in a top grandmaster tournament with all the big names: Korchnoi, Spassky, Petrosian, Bent Larsen. And with white, we have a local hero from Spain, Antonio Medina Garcia. And with black, we have the Serbian composer and chess grandmaster Svetozar Gligoric, or Gligoric, unsure how to pronounce. Bishop to b5. I'm curious if you can guess why this game is the most relaxing game ever played. And I'm also curious if you can figure out what is so unique about it before the video ends. Pawn to a6, attacking the bishop. We are in the Morphy defense of the Ruy Lopez, or Spanish opening, which makes sense since this game was played in Spain. Bishop back to a4, and you can see that's a green move. The pink here is where the bishop started out. Red means that it's a mistake to capture there. We could also capture the knight, would also be a green move. Red here, mistake, and then a bunch of blue moves that are just okay. The theoretical move is to go back here to a4. Of course, I'm assisted by Stockfish running through this chess up board. You can read more in the description, and if you want to buy the board yourself, there is even a promo code, so you will save 10%. Knight to f6, another theoretical move, attacking the e4 pawn. Antonio Medina Garcia ignores this and plays castles. This is possible because if knight takes pawn, we have rook to e1, and there is a lot of theory there. Instead, we see the much more theoretical bishop to e7 by Gligoric. Rook to e1, another green move. Perfect chess so far. We are in established theory. Now making sure that this knight will never come in with advantage in capturing this e4 pawn. We see pawn to b5, kicking this bishop. The bishop drops back. It's important to do this now before you play pawn to d6, because in these Spanish positions, white has this plane here with pawn to c3, and this bishop will maybe want to go back to c2, and the c3 move makes this possible. The c3 move also supports a later push of this pawn to d4, and therefore it is important to kick the bishop first, so that if the bishop wants to go from a4 to c2, it will have to use two moves, and white is therefore wasting a move, or you could say that black is not giving a free move that white wants to move anyway to white. We see castles. We are nearing the end of what was theory at the point when this game was played. Pawn to h3. So this is an important move since it takes away this potential bishop pin. You can see now that would be a red move to come in here with the bishop, because it would be captured, and we don't want annoying pin on this knight. It's very important in these positions here. After pawn to h3, we see Gligoric play pawn to h6, another green move that I believe was not theory at the time. I don't think that's how it was played. It is a very deep move. It looks like it's just doing exactly the same as white is doing, and in a way it is. But this move requires some very precise play to justify, because it weakens the f5 square, this square. And we are getting into a little bit of the understanding of the position now. What are the black player and the white player, what are they really doing? We're getting into that a little bit now. So white was probably quite happy to see this move, because white has this long-term plan of playing pawn to d4, staking a claim in the center supported by the c3 pawn, then having this knight go here, here, and then either here or here, with the idea of ending up here on f5. It's a long journey for this knight. What does that have to do with the h6 move? Well, when you've played h6, it's harder to then play g6. And g6 is a move you would like, so you could capture a pawn or a knight or anything landing here. But the problem is, if you do play pawn to g6, nobody's protecting this h6 pawn. And if this pawn has went here to d4, then we could come in and snag that pawn. And between two grandmasters at this level, you just can't give up as much as a single pawn. You have to keep the game in perfect balance, materially at the very least, in order to not get crushed. You can't give these grandmasters as much as a single pawn for free. You'll need compensation. Now, this very, very unique game doesn't look that unique yet, but just wait. Just wait. There literally is no game as calm as this one, and there literally is no game like this one. It's the only one in chess history that is like this. Now, so we do see pawn to d4. And there is no point in capturing that with the pawn. You can see it's just a blue move, not a green move, because it's defended by this pawn. So we would just re-establish our pawn duo here with white, and having even more control in the center, because we as black would have lost our central pawn. Therefore, we see more build up and another green move here. Rook to e8. Now begins the Ruy Lopez thematic journey of the knight. Knight to d2. And here we see Gligoric start the brilliance of this game. This bishop goes back to whence it came. It came from f8, it had a little dance, and then it went back to f8. And what on earth is that about? Well, Gligoric is saying, okay, I have limited space. That's one of the challenges you face when you play the Ruy Lopez. It's the limited space. So how can I shuffle my pieces to good squares where they all do something very useful? Well, I would like the rook here on the file here, so if that opens up, it will be a cannon ready to fire. So I need this bishop here to go somewhere, but I need it to do something. What about I play h6, and then later I can play g6, and my bishop will have a job. It will guard h6. It's the start of a very, very, very peculiar strategy, very curious. And well, it's beautiful really. Just look at this position. Just look how beautiful it is. Sometimes I just get lost in chess, not in the variations or in thinking about where the different pieces can go, but just in the way it looks. These configuration of pieces. And we've been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years. There's just something deep and beautiful about it. I hope that you are approaching maybe deep sleep. I hope that you are either just dozing off or that you just give yourself the freedom, allow yourself the freedom to just let go. We're just having a nice time with chess. We don't have to worry about anything now. We don't have to stress about anything. We don't have to think about anything. I'll do all the analysis of the game and understanding of the game. You don't have to do anything. You can just let go. You deserve to let go. The knight goes on its journey to F1. It's time for black to develop a bishop. Let's go here. But you can see there's also a green square there. But we go to B7, not E7. But maybe we want the bishop on E7 at some point. Gligoric is actually already thinking about this. Knight to G3, another green move. And here we have knight to A5. It's interesting. This is part of many concepts in the Ruy Lopez, that you want to force this bishop to leave this strong diagonal and go to C2. But this is a square that the bishop is not necessarily unhappy to be, so it's a bit of a paradoxical move, but it works in practice. It also makes room on C4 for this knight, so the knight will not stay on the rim, because, as you know, a knight on the rim is dim. It goes here to C4. That's too strong, so let's chase it away. Go to D3. But maybe this was not the most precise move. Maybe. Because it was just a blue move. And the knight can go back to B6. And is this a case, do you think, of the computer not understanding the depth of, in particular, black's play? Or do you think there is a tactical sequence that shows that both of these moves are a little imprecise? I have not been able to find any such tactical sequence, but I'm also not going to claim that I am smarter than the computer. The players must have been in an almost zen-like state here. It's a flow state. We see bishop first, of course, to D2, and then pawn to C5. And there's a lot of tension here in the center. What is the most calm way to release the tension? What is the most ASMR friendly way we could continue with this game? We just push this pawn like so, because we don't want to make a big mess here in the center. And now this pawn is quite advanced. It's very nice, but Gligoric is continuing with this unique, very interesting concept. Again, a bishop, and it's a green move. Goes back to whence it came, saying, okay, I will not be on this long diagonal. I will not be a sniper bishop. I will be on this diagonal instead. And this extremely calm, extremely patient shuffling of pieces is just, it's inspirational. If you watch too many Tal videos and you always want to sacrifice, come back once in a while and watch this game, or analyze it on your own. See how Gligoric is, how he thinks about chess, with just this patience and calmness. And it's all correct, everything he does. So it's not like It's not like the Kasparov, Fischer, Tal, more brutal attacking chess is objectively better. The calm, slow positional, non-bloody approach is an equally valid way of thinking about chess. Pawn here to b3. It's a green move here. Anticipating pawn to c4. But white is considering, of course, capturing this. Capturing twice. We can see, is it a green move? We could consider that. Takes and takes, but it's backed up by the knight. We don't want to give away this very nice bishop. So instead, the bishop plays another green move and drops back to f1. Again, this shuffling of pieces. Just very methodically, very slowly fighting for position here. The bishop here, it goes to e7 now. And it's happy being on this diagonal, but it does not want to block the rook. The rook is not happy being on a8, it wants to go to c8. And this knight here wants to go to h2. Because now it has a knight's journey, it wants to go here at some point. So it's a little knight maneuver. Rook to c8, so that we may consider opening this c-file up to have this cannon ready to go at some point. Does white want that? Does white want some pawn takes pawn, and then this rook becomes good? No, that's not what white wants. So white plays pawn to b4. Just being very, very, very calm about the position, saying no, I can see you're shuffling your pieces, you're getting them to good squares, and they all have a job, they're always doing something useful, but I'm not letting you break through. And maybe I can just keep you on your side of the board and squeeze you. Squeeze you like a boa constrictor. And both sides in this game are thinking like that, but who will prevail? Who will do that the best? Let's take a look. Well, the knight here is thinking I should go to this green move here, a4, potentially looking a little bit at squares like b2, square like c3, so maybe now this bishop could have a hard time moving really, because it is needed to defend this c3 pawn. This knight has just been here before, and now it came back and said, you know, I changed a little bit about my setup, maybe I want to be here again now. Now we see white starting to play their hand a little bit. They go queen to f3. This is beginning to get aggressive. Now we can have knight coming to this f5 square where it really wants to be. Bishop will have to capture that if that happens. Now the queen can recapture, and with this bishop here looking at h6 and this knight coming into the game, we could really have some strong attack against the black majesty here, this guy. Do you remember all of this stuff I talked about with h6? This whole shuffling here of pieces here, every day I'm shuffling means we can actually play g6 now, a move that you normally can't play in these positions, meaning now that this knight cannot go, as you can see it's a red square, cannot go to f5. We can actually go ahead and capture that, and no, we cannot come in and capture the h6 pawn. You can see it's red. Why? Well, because it is defended by the bishop. So instead, bishop to e2. this battery here, looking at h5. Maybe we can make something happen on h5. Still, cool as a cucumber, calm and collected. Gligoric plays bishop to g7, just making sure that we are, of course, protecting the h6 pawn and the h6 square in general, but also we are improving this bishop a little bit. So we have developed the bishop to e7, we have undeveloped again, and now we are developing it to g7 instead. Just taking care of all the black squares around the king, making sure he is snug as a bug in a rug, just like you at home or wherever you are listening to this. Here we see white's playing. We want to attack here, so we go h4, and again we are not going to do anything too spectacular as black. We're going back with the knight to h7, so that, of course, the queen can come in and capture h4, but pawn to h5 for white. And here we see the point of knight, the knight move. The knight can then come to g5, attacking the queen. And the queen will then have to move. Because if the queen does not move, then white will have to play bishop takes knight. And actually, let's look at the queen. I think the queen will have red moves now. Yes. Why is that? What is really going on? Why is it that we absolutely have to capture that knight? Because it looks like we are giving black a very nice position, and we really are. At this point, the computer is also sort of waking up to just how much black has actually won the opening battle here. And it may, like to you, and it also did to me as first when I looked over this game, doesn't look as much. It doesn't look like really much is going on here. But this is what we call positional chess. It's just a matter of the material is completely equal. They all have all their pieces. But very slowly, developing, undeveloping, slightly improving, the way that black has shuffled their pieces means that they are all just slightly better. And black has slightly more space now and can shuffle their pieces a little bit better, meaning, and we will see it in the game, the justification, meaning that white actually has to allow black to catch in. We have to capture this knight, and we can come in with the queen. Black would have to could come in with the queen after a capture, and then this pawn here would be thrown forward, and it would be quite clearly black with the attack. But queen to e3 instead. White is not really prepared to allow this. White, and this is a mistake that I do as well in chess, and maybe even in life, saying, oh, it should, like I shuffled my pieces, I used these thematic ideas, I did everything I was supposed to do, I should have some advantage here. But in actuality, in the practical world, there is no advantage here. And if you play the position according to how you think it should be, and not how it really is, it can go turn sour for you. Like in life, you have to face reality, even if it's tough, even if you are disadvantaged, as I know many of us are. But we have to then recognize the disadvantage and work to find all the resources we can, play the best moves, and give ourselves the best fighting chance rooted in the reality of the position in which we find ourselves. Here, black, again, not capturing any of this, but just improving the position, taking more space now. Pawn, and this is going to be a green move because this is an exclaim move, an excellent move with 2 exclamation marks. Because now the situation is very, very problematic for white. Very, very problematic. If it's black's move again, we can push this pawn forward. We are now winning the game because queen will have to move and we can capture the knight. And let's just look at what we can really do about this. Can we capture the pawn? No. This pawn would recapture. We would have extremely strong center, and this pawn would be able to go forward at some point, unleashing this bishop, which would just be an absolute monster, and we just absolutely cannot allow that. But if we can't allow that, then what are we doing? What are we really doing? Because you can't even, like, if you move the knight, we are still pushing this pawn. Let's say we play knight to f1 here. Where is the queen going after we push the pawn? This square and this square attacked by the knight. This square and this square would be attacked by the pawn. And this square is attacked by this other pawn. So by process of elimination, this move is sort of the only one that makes any kind of sense. Unfortunately, it is too late. What white plays? Queen to a7. Interestingly, all the moves are red. But I would be interested to see what, in a desperate situation, I know that the evaluation says that white is losing here, but I would be interested to see what the computer says we should play. Okay, maybe we could sacrifice the knight. So that's a very tough situation where if we just sacrifice the knight for a pawn and the computer says that's one of the okay move. Yeah, just capturing this pawn and delaying the inevitable a little bit. The computers love to do that, and humans, if you analyze a position where your opponent has checkmate in 3 moves, but you could sacrifice the queen to delay the checkmate just 1 move, the computer is always going to do that, because that would mean it's checkmate in 4 moves instead of checkmate in 3 moves, and to a computer that's just better, but a human would probably just resign, because if we can look and see I'm just having to sacrifice the queen for nothing, then I have to sacrifice my rook for nothing. The only thing I gain is I delay the inevitable. I would much rather put the pieces back up and analyze the game and learn from it, or play another game. That's how we think, but computers are not like us. So that's why just capturing here, we would have to recapture. We would be in exactly the same situation. No, but queen to a7. And why is this so bad? Well, this queen is kind of offside. This queen, it's a powerful piece if you can infiltrate with the queen, but where is the backup? Where is the backup? Sometimes, and we don't see that in the spy movies that much, sometimes if you go behind the enemy lines, you'll just get caught. Can black capture the queen here? Can we catch the queen? Let's take a look. We pushed this pawn. Gligoric plays the green move, pushing the pawn, attacking the knight. Why? The knight can defend, it can go back here. Obviously the position looks very tough for white, but can we maybe hold this? We have a lot of defenders against the king. Can we maybe hold this? What is the point of this move? Maybe the knight is even a better defensive piece here. Well, the point of this move is that the queen cannot come back to e3 now. We are attacking e3. And now we turn our attention to the queen. We just wanted to weave the mating net around the queen. We're trying to checkmate the queen of course pretty tough to checkmate a piece with very long legs that's very fast. The king can only move one square, and you know how difficult it can be to weave the mating net around him sometimes. So what about the lady, the quick lady here? Can we do it? Rook, queen move again, rook to a8. It's attacking the queen, yes. It is also defending a6, the pawn on a6, which was the only place other than b7 the queen could go. Because this whole retreating path here, the whole road home to her husband here, is it's all defect, it's all attacked. You cannot go anywhere. You cannot go here, the knight, the queen. So now the queen is in dire straits, I think we could say. And there's just one move here. One move. And I mean, I think maybe he was like tinkling. I think he was tinkling maybe, because imagine having played this game. Imagine in this position playing rook to e7. And looking at your opponent, and you know it's a historical game. You know this has never been done before. This is black's 29th move. White has played 29 moves. Black has played 29 moves. That's 58 moves. And not a single piece has been captured. Not a single piece has been captured for 58 moves. And in this position, whatever white does really, black is just going, no captures, just going to play this bishop back to e8, and there's nowhere the queen can go. And we will win the queen for a rook. And at the grandmaster level, that is more than enough to win the game. So Antonia Medina Garcia resigned the game. So they played a 29 move game, 58 half moves in total, in 1968, with no captures whatsoever. That has to be the calmest and maybe also the coolest game of chess I have ever seen. The record still stands. Nobody has played a decisive game at the grandmaster level that is with no captures for this many moves, not even close. So it's just an absolute beauty, and it just shows you how rich chess is. I'll leave you on something interesting. So Svetozar Gligoric, who won this game, he was also a composer, and he composed a song that was called How I Survived the 20th Century. It's a sort of a jazzy tune, and Fide, for all the wrong that they do, have actually made a pretty cool little video where they released the song on their channel. I'll put a link in the description and I'll play a little bit of it here. I mean, it's quite nice. So yeah, that's the video. The calmest game of chess ever played. I hope you had a good time watching the video. I hope I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.